whip came here, so I want
Yes, sir.
to
The
yield.
distinguished whip would be honored.
Right.
We'd be honored to have him.
I'm
be a
happy to
part of
yield
this
2
discussion.
minutes to the distinguished minority whip from the great state of Maryland, Mr. Hoyer.
For how much time? Gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 2 minutes.
I thank the gentleman. I thank the gentleman from Massachusetts. I've been here for long enough to see my Republican colleagues bring to the floor these bills and plop them down heavily on the table. I've been here long enough to have citizens assault me in a town meeting and said, "Have you read the bill?" I've been here long enough to hear the demagoguery about what's in the bill. Do you know what's in the bill? Have you read the bill? How can you do this? I've heard demagoguery about the 3-day rule. I call it the 24-hour and 2-second rule. That is the last second of the first day, 24 hours of the second day, and the first second of the third day. We're not even going to make that. This was filed 8 o'clock last night. I ask any member in this House, join me in the well if you've read this bill. Join me if you've read this bill. No one is joining me. These are earmarks. Now, they call them authorizing legislation, but they're earmarks. They're pieces of legislation in this bill that, A, are against the rules, of course, but we'll waive those rules. And they are things that are going through in the dark of night, 8 o'clock last night. And this is the appropriation bills. The only piece of this legislation that were done properly. Report. May I have one additional minute?
1 minute.
Was recognized for 1 additional minute.
The Speaker said, when he became the Speaker, I quote, "We will advance major legislation one issue at a time." How can any self-respecting member of this House, how can any self-respecting Republican who made that representation to my Tea Party friends vote for this rule? I have no idea. This is an abomination of the legislative process. And you've had 6 months to get it right. And 6 weeks ago, the Speaker promised that an issue of great importance to us, docket, would be solved. Hasn't been addressed, much less solved. But the real problem is nobody knows what's in this legislation. With all due respect to the chairman of the Rules Committee, he hadn't read this bill.
Yield the gentleman additional 1 minute.
Gentleman is
Mr.
recognized for an
McGovern hasn't
additional
read the
1
bill.
minute.
And ladies and gentlemen of America, I have not read the bill. 8 o'clock last night. The only person that could read this bill is the supercomputers. None of us even claim to be supercomputers. This rule ought to go down. And very frankly, there are a lot of things in here I know that I like, and I know that everybody else likes. But if we defeat the rule, we ought to go back to a process that we can respect, that you argued you were going to follow, that you pledged to the American people you were going to follow, and that Mr. Cantor and Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Ryan wrote a book about and said they were going to change this institution and do it right. This is wrong. Vote no.
Mr.
Gentleman from
Speaker,
Massachusetts.
How much time do I have remaining?